They want war. Crying babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about control.
It's something I haven't thought about.
U.S. President Donald Trump told reporters on Friday that he has not considered granting a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, the longtime associate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, who is currently serving a 20-year federal prison sentence in Florida.
I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Trump's remarks came as the White House faces a political firestorm over Epstein's case, and renewed questions over the president's past relationship with the disgraced financier, who died by suicide in a New York jail in 2019. On Friday, Maxwell completed a second day of interviews with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, after the Justice Department reached out to her lawyers to see if she had additional information about the case.
She's keeping her spirits up as much as she can.
David Marcus, a lawyer for Maxwell, told reporters that his client was answering questions truthfully, and that she would, quote, welcome any relief. After landing in Scotland Friday for golf and bilateral talks, Trump claimed to have never been briefed about his name being in files related to Epstein, after the Wall Street Journal reported that U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told him in May that his name appeared in them. He added that now was not the time to talk about a pardon for Maxwell.
A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons. But a lot of people have asked about pardon. This is just not a time to be talking about pardons.
Maxwell was found guilty in 2021 of helping Epstein sexually abuse teenage girls. She is currently appealing her sentence.
Come on. Raise your hand. Let me know in the chat if you are surprised by the talks about the pardons. This is, in my view, of course, because I don't want anybody to get super upset at me or, these are funny times where people, they blame the folks that's really trying to help them. They blame the folks that really cares about them. They blame the folks that really care about their countrymen having a fair, decent life. These are some crazy times. But you tell me, are you surprised? Are you surprised? And let's just put it out there. Things worth knowing. Hey. Oh, my God. Ministry X-Men, what's up? You all tell me. Is she just going to get a pardon? Let's get it over with already. I've been saying this for days, and I'm going to tell y'all this. It's not a biggie, but I've been breaking this shit down. The legal experts, they're out of their water. There is no precedent for what is going on. A lot of the times, the legal experts, they're used to things going a certain way. That's really what they're used to. And I don't blame them, because that's what you pay them for. But when it doesn't go the way that they've been saying it is going to go, you lose your money when you paid for those legal experts, really straight up. And I'm not one to play games with life. This is wrong. Her getting a pardon would absolutely, unquestionably be wrong. It would be the wrong thing to do in a right, decent country. But in an indecent country, in an indecent world, it will absolutely happen when you give people the opportunity to do it. And the Supreme Court has absolutely given Trump the right to pardon anyone that he could pardon Satan, and you can do nothing about it. You have to eat shit, essentially. And by the way, you got to listen to him gaslight you about it. I mean, he's going to sit up here and act like he wasn't going to do this the whole time. This isn't the time to talk about pardons, because you're talking about a decent man, right? He understands the difference, between, what's the good time to talk about it and when it's a bad time to talk about it, because he's a decent man. But he's going to give that pardon. And if I'm wrong, I don't give a fuck, because he's going to give something. He's giving something to a convicted sex trafficker of the worst type, of the type that, it's so insidious. All the rest of you sex traffickers out there, we're not talking about you regular nobody dirtbags, because you can't even get in this man's company. Your ass would be behind jail, the rest of you sex traffickers. That's how bad this is. These are the elitist ones that's going to get away with it. And it's sad, it's pathetic. But in any case, let me know flat off the bat, is he going to do the pardon 100%? Is he going to do it or not? Just tell me yes or no, pardon or no pardon. Is he going to get it or not? By the way, there's more news, y'all.
We are just learning this hour that Jeffrey Epstein's friend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was granted limited immunity in order to talk with Trump's personal attorney turned Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Now, what did this mean, this limited immunity? Well, it allowed Maxwell to provide information without any fear that anything she said that is truthful can be used against her in the future. Maxwell is, of course, serving a 20-year sentence in connections with Epstein's sex crimes. It is a conviction she's actually in the process of appealing. And after the second day of these unusual meetings between Maxwell and the Trump Department of Justice, Maxwell's attorney just said this about a potential pardon from Trump.
We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, look, people have been talking about this for days. So at least they're coming out and saying it, black and white. They're not beating around the bush.
Exactly.
They don't want to pardon.
At least they're not beating around the bush, And hey, why should anybody else beat around the bush with it? Like I've been saying, let's get ahead of the bullshit. You're living in wicked times. The Supreme Court fucked you. You know that as an American citizen. The Supreme Court laid the path for this to happen. That. There's even reports. There's reports out there. I don't know if it's true, but it was something mentioned on Fox News that Justice Roberts has even been on a plane owned or, somehow controlled by Jeffrey Epstein. Don't say I said it, because it was mentioned on Fox News, actually. And I hate that news channel, but it was mentioned on Fox News. Now, one of the Supreme Court justices. So I don't know. Is this the America that you're a part of? Is this the America that you live in? Is this the America, this clip? Now, people, sorry about that. Y'all have to subscribe. Listen to me. Subscribe, because when I go live on every system, they don't all respond the same way. They don't send out the notifications, in the same way every time. So please, if you're listening to my streams and you dig some of the commentary, make sure you subscribe so you get as much of the notifications as possible, because depending on what system I'm on, you may not get the notifications on time. You see what I mean? I rock with different systems depending on where I am and what I'm doing at the time. If I'm out, if I'm kicked back, if I'm in the studio, whichever one. You see what I'm saying? So get the notifications. But subscribe and just make sure you get the notifications. Please do that. Right? Now, check this out. I've been saying for the last day, I've been giving my analysis the last week on Trump's, the type of individual he is. And some of the you could say some of the more experienced commentators, the ones that have lifelong legal experience, people that work in law enforcement, people that are attorneys, a lot of them off the bat rejected the idea that Trump would use the pardon. And they were saying that they believe, no, it's going to be public backlash and blah, blah, blah. Yo, you're missing the point. Trump doesn't give a damn about the public backlash. Are you out of your mind? That makes no sense. I knew. I don't have criminal justice experience, so I can't go on the data. I can't tell you about the lawyers personally, my experience with the lawyers or the judges, how this judge used to rule and how the other judge used to rule. I can't go on that, but I definitely know a crazy motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? I definitely know a devil type of person, a scumbag, and the U.S. got some scumbags. And what kills me the most about the expert commentators is, why can't you just call a spade, man? Stop trying to pretend like the United States has been the most fair, just country on earth. Stop trying to pretend like people don't get away with crimes like this. This is ridiculous. Sorry, but Trump and his cabinet, they played the system for what it is. They are classist. They know this game. They play this game unfair. Okay, and they're winning. They're winning. So, folks, if you've been surprised, let me put the chat back up on the screen. If you've been surprised, then I don't know where you've been when it comes to Trump. If you've been surprised, I have not been surprised. Let me know what you think. Have you been surprised by this, by this talk of pardons? Of course, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet, but I mean, it looks pretty much like it's due to happen. And why wouldn't it happen? It would. Well, it's going to happen pretty much, I would say, because Trump. I'm just going through some of these files. I had to break down a clip that I was using before. Sorry about that. The reason why it's going to happen is because two major reasons. Oh, there's nothing stopping him. There's nothing stopping him. He doesn't have the restraints that you would normally assign to an individual. He doesn't have those type of restraints on him. He knows that the system is rigged for the average American, right? He already knows that. He's an elitist. That's how he knows. It's been rigged for him his entire life. He knows through personal experience. You will never beat Trump's personal experience. That's what he's going on. And he knows how to do it. You get the right lawyers, you say the right things, you abuse power, you manifest destiny, essentially. And in this crazy case, manifest destiny to Trump and his administration, it means the American people don't matter. That's what it means. The ends justify the means, and the ends are to get that bag. For them, they see the system as rigged in a different way. They see the system as, through a racist lens. They really do believe in this kind of stuff. And they've convinced themselves in their mind that the United States of America has been unfair to them. You see, so a guy like Trump that is an immigrant himself can come to the United States of America, mask himself in the flag and in the color, claim and pretend like his family's been a part of fighting for justice in the United States, fighting for the, founding of the country, the Civil War, the Declaration of Independence, the all of these things, right? Oh my God. He can pretend, he can take on that persona. It's really pretending, obviously, because no country that you come from is that goddamn pretty on earth. There's always problems with different groups of people, even if they're the same goddamn color. If it's not about color, it's going to be about religion. If it's not about religion, it's going to be about ethnicity. Most countries have these kind of conflicts, but in the United States, what is very, very odd is that the country has become the wealthiest country on earth through acknowledging its diversity. And you have these type of people that feel utterly hurt by it. Even though they've gotten the lion's share, they just feel like things aren't going their way. So they feel like they are justified in being classist. They feel like they are justified in making people afraid. They feel like they're justified in ripping down the entire country just to prove a point, just to prove that you have no power over them, just to prove that the system doesn't work the same way. They want you to feel that way. But folks, I want you to reject that bullshit. Okay, this is not 1776. Okay, this is 2025, and your vote counts. This is if you're a citizen of the U.S. or not, right? But particularly if you're a citizen of the U.S. and you pay taxes, go and get yours too. Be just as bowdy and be just as arrogant and cocky as a regular citizen who's not wealthy, and show these motherfuckers what we made of. I mean, really, are you tired of being pushed around by this nonsense? These people don't even care if they even look in the slightest like they're telling the truth. They don't even fucking care. They're going to do it in your face and dog walk you the entire time while they're taking your tax dollars. Let me play a little bit more, and then I'm going to get into the chat. I had to break this clip up so it doesn't overhaul the system, but let's see what it do now.
To quell this political firestorm. So that's an option. It's clearly something that a lot of folks have talked about. We have no reporting that has been put on the table, but the consequences for the administration, that is only going to make this worse.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Paula, thank you very much. So, on the back of this significant development, as Paula is reporting, I want to bring in Adam Wren. He is the senior national politics correspondent for Politico. Barry Levine is also back with us, the author of Spider, Inside the Criminal Web of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I spent many, many years investigating this. And Ryan Goodman, the editor-in-chief of Just Security and the former special counsel of the Defense Department. So grateful to all of you. Barry, here we are, limited immunity. 100 individuals, 100 people are named, according to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney today, by Ghislaine Maxwell in these conversations with the Department of Justice and Mr. Blanche. I know that you have real questions about whether she can be trusted, and of course her immunity only applies if she tells the truth. So what do you think about this breaking news that she was granted limited immunity for what she said?
Well, Aaron, certainly...
I just want to remind the trolls in the chat, you won't get immunity. You're not special. You won't get a pardon for your crimes. Okay, you won't get a pardon or immunity for your stupidity. You're going to live your stupidity out, because not only is this lady going to get out of jail, not only is Trump going to walk with billions of dollars scot-free from the American people, not only that, but he's not going to give you disaster relief when the next storm comes and hits your town. So remember, this is what you claim you wanted. So people voted for this. These are the people. This is the person that the majority, or at least these MAGA people, voted for. They voted for the person that's protecting the pedophiles, it doesn't even give a damn about it. He doesn't even care if it looks if he looks like a scumbag or not. He's going to protect those pedophiles. You voted for the person that is not going to give you disaster relief when a storm hits your town and destroys your family's home, your kid's home. That's who you voted for. Okay. And I know it's trolls, so we got to keep in mind, trolls are going to be trolls, and they're going to support Trump to the end, and they're going to gaslight. And let me read one of the trolls' comments. He lives in your mind rent free. Oh, that's gaslighting, because here's the thing. Biden lives in Trump's mind rent free. Obama lives in Trump's mind rent free. Kamala lives in Trump's mind rent free. You see, he ran with all these people living in his mind rent free. You see, and the beautiful thing about it is that Obama, Kamala, and Biden live in the troll's mind rent free too. Because anytime Trump does some more outrageous shit, all they need to hear is Trump pull the magic wand out and say, Obama. And they're like, okay.
Apparently, this is the most sensational development that we've had in this case. Here we have someone who is right next to Jeffrey Epstein, who is his co-conspirator. And for the very first time, she talked for 9 straight hours over 2 days. What she said in those 9 hours could result possibly in the arrest of other individuals, men who may have helped facilitate the sex trafficking of Epstein, and also individuals who might have taken part in the sexual abuse. I'm only thinking about the victims tonight, how they're reacting to this. If Ghislaine Maxwell is finally going to do one thing right in her life, it is tell the truth and help these victims get closure on this horrible, horrible crime.
Right, of course she would.
Yeah, the dude was already convicted for 34 felonies before he was elected. So people elected a criminal, and of course the trolls didn't, because the trolls, they're just on the line, the internet. They don't get a real vote in real life, but real people, real people actually voted for a criminal, and it's very telling, when you vote for criminals, you're going to get criminality. And that's essentially what people got,
Of course, she was convicted. I mean, there have been opportunities for truth before, Ryan. Here we are. Maybe now's the moment. I mean, what do you think happens here now, Ryan? She's got this limited immunity. Apparently, according to her lawyer, mentions 100 people, or is asked about 100 people, but 100 individuals are discussed. So what happens now?
So if we were in a normal situation, what could happen next is that the Justice Department might very well have leads to open investigations into other people, and there's strong reasons to believe, in fact it's a fact, that there were several other people involved in the sexual abuse of minors, people who are in the elite class and have gotten away with it.
Facts.
But this is not a usual...
Now, here's the interesting thing. What I do like about this is that there seems to be a split here. There's an acknowledgement that Trump is out of his damn mind. He's going to use the pardon. We know that. He's always had this pardon in mind. That's how he rewards the criminal network around him, by pardoning them. He's done it in the past, and he will do it again. Ghislaine Maxwell is his friend. He knew her for a long time, so why wouldn't he use the pardon? She didn't take the stand in her own trial that she's convicted of now. She didn't take the stand, so she didn't snitch on Trump, right? We know that, right? She didn't snitch on anybody else. She didn't tell her story in her own trial. So obviously she didn't feel like she could win, right? Even if she told her own story. So she withheld her own story. She didn't think her own story would live up to scrutiny then. But now, since her friend is the president again, she feels like she has a better chance at telling her own story, right? So there's obviously the friend network going on here, right? That's just facts. But what I like about it here is that the commentators here, they've gotten beyond the fact that they're friends. Everybody knows they're friends. Okay, we accept that. But still there's a dilemma because even though they're friends, they still have to use the processes, right? And they still have it in mind. They still have it in mind that maybe she could still, even though they're friends, maybe she could talk and tell what she knows. Maybe she could uncover some more sex traffickers, more participants. Now, if you knew, so there's a split here. There's a split between people that think Trump is innocent and Ghislaine Maxwell is innocent, because if Trump pardons her, she must be innocent too, right? Since they're friends, this all must be a hoax, right? That's what Trump said. Trump said it was a hoax. And then you have the other people that are saying, no, she's not innocent. She was guilty. Trump's interested in giving her a pardon, or the Justice Department is interested in getting her sentence brought down a little bit in the hopes that she could help us catch more pedophiles. Now, how many of you feel like Ghislaine can help the DOJ catch more pedophiles? If you feel like she can help the DOJ catch more pedophiles, put a 1 in the chat. And y'all subscribe. Trust me, subscribe, because YouTube doesn't always send out the notifications. It depends on the system I'm using. And how quickly I go live. You see what I mean? So YouTube is hot right now. So subscribe. Make sure you subscribe so you get the notifications no matter what system I'm on and using when I'm moving around the city, right? Or moving around this area, this region. But check this out. Do you think Ghislaine Maxwell can help find more pedophiles? Or do you think she's only going to cover up? Okay. Harry Wynn says Trump is innocent. Okay, but that's still not answering my question. Do you think Ghislaine Maxwell can help the DOJ arrest more pedophiles in this case? That's what I'm asking. It's just a simple question. And listen, try to use your critical thinking here. I'm not talking about this person, and I'm not talking about Harry, but just everybody. When you're answering the question, think about this. They're just arguing there. They're discussing two different ways of approaching this. So they're not in agreement themselves when they're discussing this. You don't have to be in agreement to have a worthwhile, respectful conversation, an enlightening one. So that's why I'm asking the question. Do you think she can help arrest more pedophiles? Because that's usually who you give a commutation to. That's usually who you make deals with, right? When you're dealing with a convicted sex trafficker. Or do you think it's all a hoax and she's not even part of a sex trafficking ring either with the elite? Do you think Ghislaine Maxwell is innocent? Let me know what you think. Okay, Justin says pedo. Yeah, he's a pedo. I believe that for sure. Trump is a pedo, and Ghislaine Maxwell is a pedo too. That's my belief. But hold on. Let me make sure I can read these comments. So 2 seconds. 2 seconds here. 1, 2. Let me just adjust this screen real quick so I can see what I'm doing. Boom. All right. 2 seconds. I'm going to put it back up in a minute. Now it says, the comment says, turn the neon off for a second. Okay. What if she gives what? And she gives up what? She gives up Democrat what? She gives up Democrat name what if? She gives up Democrat name what? Is this a bot, Gary Buster? Come on, man, write a sentence. I don't know what you're talking about, Gary, but I'm gonna try to guess, right? I hope she gives up anybody. I don't care if it's why would you care if you're dealing with the topic of pedophilia and hundreds of innocent young girls being raped? Why would you care if it's a Democrat or a Republican? Yo, that's weird, man. That's weird, bro. Yo. Okay, let me see. Mary, another narrative. Why didn't they do this earlier? Why didn't they do this earlier? They knew They knew this makes no sense. Mary Riston. I agree with that. Facts. I agree with that. With the business is obviously a troll, and you know how trolls do it. They like to just do whatever they do. They don't care. And the troll says, or your mama. And I'm saying, and your mama too. Okay. I could get down like that also. Your mama. How about your mama? What you going to do about it, fool? Okay. Basically nothing. But you're a troll. So big up to the trolls because you get the stream going and you get more people to see it. So thank you also for your petty comment. All right. Let's see who else. 34 felons, Charles. All right. Now, let me see. We know Trump, R. St. Charles. We know Trump is shady. He literally would walk into the Miss Teen Universe locker room when they were changing, saying it's no big deal as he owned the pageant. Yeah. And guess what? A lot of MAGA people are just going to say that was a hoax, too. Like, they're going to say he was just joking. Even though he said it, they're going to say he's just joking, straight up. What's the word for the day? Hey, VP in the chat. What's up? Hey, sis. Yeah. No matter what, Trump can say anything. I mean, Trump is the dude that went out and said that he could go on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and nobody would say nothing. And he's right. He's right. I mean, his following is like that. Trump could go out and slap their mama and they would be like looking for excuses. Just like with the business, Trump could go out and slap with the business's mama and with the business would be like, well, he had a good reason for it. Maybe it's because you Democrats, y'all let Obama do something. I mean, that's basically what it is. But let's hear some more. Let's hear some more what they're talking about here. Come on.
Is not a usual situation. So the very fact that we're here today with the Deputy Attorney General running lead in meeting with a prisoner is extremely unusual. You would think it would be the line prosecutors who know the case and would be able to detect at any moment in which she's straying from the truth, especially somebody who's been charged by the Justice Department with 2 counts of perjury.
Oh, shit. Did I just cut that off? Let me go back to that. Sorry about that, y'all. Daggone, man. I got to watch my fingers when I'm doing this. This is ridiculous. All right, come on. One more time. Let's go.
To quell this political firestorm. So that's an option. It's clearly something that a lot of folks have talked about. We have no reporting that has been put on the table, but the consequences for the administration, that is only going to make this worse.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Paula, thank you very much. So, on the back of this significant development, as Paul is reporting, I want to bring in Adam Wren. He is the senior national politics correspondent for Politico. Barry Levine is also back with us, the author of Spider, Inside the Criminal Web of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I spent many, many years investigating this. And Ryan Goodman, the editor-in-chief of Just Security and the former special counsel of the Defense Department. So grateful to all of you. Barry, here we are, limited immunity. 100 individuals, 100 people are named, according to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney today, by Ghislaine Maxwell in these conversations with the Department of Justice and Mr. Blanche. I know that you have real questions about...
I know who she named. They say she named 100 people. They're all Democrats that she named. She named Obama, Kamala Harris. I'm pretty sure, now, that's a joke. I don't know who she named, but... I'm guessing. I mean, it's such a weird thing because who are you to believe? Are you to believe Trump when he says it's a hoax? The whole thing was made up by Democrats? Or are you to believe Ghislaine Maxwell, who named 100 people? Are the 100 people she's naming, are they the Democrats that made all of this up? Or are they people that committed sex crime offenses, and things like this? Are they some of the pedophiles? What do y'all think? Tell me, what do you think? What do you think about a president that runs on a platform saying that there's a deep state and saying that there's pedophile trafficking rings and all of this stuff, right? And then when they get in power, all of a sudden say the opposite, say it was all a hoax. What do y'all think about that? I'm going to get to the comments in a second.
Significant development as Paul is reporting. I want to bring in Adam Wren. He is the senior national politics correspondent for Politico. Barry Levine is also back with us, the author of Spider, Inside the Criminal Web of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I spent many, many years investigating this. And Ryan Goodman, the editor-in-chief of Just Security and the former special counsel of the Defense Department. So grateful to all of you. Barry, here we are, limited immunity. 100 individuals, 100 people are named, according to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney today, by Ghislaine Maxwell in these conversations with the Department of Justice and Mr. Blanche. I know that you have real questions about whether she can be trusted, and of course her immunity only applies if she tells the truth. So what do you think about this breaking news that she was granted limited immunity for what she said?
Well, Aaron, certainly this is the most sensational development that we've had in this case. Here we have someone who is right next to Jeffrey Epstein, who was his co-conspirator. And for the very first time, she talked for 9 straight hours over 2 days. What she said in those 9 hours could result possibly in the arrest of other individuals, men who may have helped facilitate the sex trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein, and also individuals who might have taken part in the sexual abuse. I'm only thinking about the victims tonight, how they're reacting to this. You know, if Ghislaine Maxwell is finally going to do one thing right in her life, it is tell the truth and help these victims get closure on this horrible, horrible crime.
Right, of course she was convicted. I mean, there have been opportunities for truth before, Ryan. Here we are. Maybe now's the moment. I mean, what do you think happens here now, Ryan? She's got this limited immunity. Apparently, according to her lawyer, mentions 100 people, or is asked about 100 people, but 100 individuals are discussed. So what happens now?
So if we were in a normal situation, what could happen next is that the Justice Department might very well have leads to open investigations into other people, and there's strong reasons to believe, in fact it's a fact, that there were several other people involved in the sexual abuse of minors, people who are in the elite class and have gotten away with it. But this is not a usual situation, so the very fact that we're here today with the Deputy Attorney General running lead in meeting with a prisoner is extremely unusual. You would think it would be the line prosecutors who know the case and would be able to detect at any moment in which she's straight.
There's people saying that it looks like actually, you know, you either believe that they're going there to ask for her honesty and helping the victims, or it's actually witness tampering, harassing a would-be witness, you know, going there with the idea of letting her know that this guy, Trump, can get you out of jail, you know, so be careful about what you say and who you say it about. It could be perceived as either one. Then there's also more background information. These lawyers that one that's representing Ghislaine Maxwell and the one that is actually appointed by Trump that went there, there's rumors out there, I don't know how true they are, that they actually know each other. This is a small circle, obviously, of people. So I'm going to dive further into that next later on today when I come back live. But I want to do a little bit of research on this and find out how often have they worked together in the past. Have they worked in Florida regarding the original case? You know, just how much they know. But in any case, let's listen some more.
Truth, especially somebody who's been charged by the Justice Department with 2 counts of. And we're here after Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, said in July 7th that there was no evidence to even predicate an investigation on other people, which is
right.
Implausible to the point of ludicrous.
Nope. Facts. That actually means that Pam Bondi. All right, we back. Yeah, it appears as if this entire dynamic regarding this case. There's a bunch of flip-flops. You don't really know who to believe, and that's a damn shame. Folks are understanding that they can't necessarily believe the DOJ because look at Pam Bondi's own statements. One day they've gone through all the files and there's nothing there that would predicate an investigation. Nothing. Nothing there that would predicate an investigation on anybody. Nothing. And now they talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, and all of a sudden she can testify about 100 more people. Okay, is that going to be corroborated with the Epstein files? Like, how do they know she's telling the truth? Is this information going to back up? But one thing we know is somewhere in this chain of events regarding the people responsible right now is some incompetence. It's not adding up. It ain't matching up. I mean, so those of you that don't feel like this is being handled the right way or that the truth is going to come out, I don't blame you, because there's obviously red flags when it comes to the truth. Yeah, your daddy released the Epstein files. I feel it. I feel you. Ronnie DeForest, Clint Epstein. I say go. If Clinton is in there, I don't know why it has to be politicized. It should not matter, again, whether the people in there are Republicans or Democrats. You have to be, I'm not saying you're doing this, Ronnie, but just keep this in mind. If you're politicizing pedophiles, you might be a pedophile yourself. Like, straight up. It's ridiculous. Like, you shouldn't want a Republican pedophile any more than you should want a Democratic pedophile. You shouldn't want either one of them. So in this case, we can see that there's a lot of people involved that are of the upper class that got the tax break that Trump gave out. We know that for a fact. So let's start looking at it that way. Like, did Jeffrey Epstein, would he like a Trump tax break? Would he vote for Trump? Yeah, he want that tax break. You see what I'm saying? So the elitist, if there's an elitist pedophile ring, Democrat or Republican or independent, any of them involved, or just rich folk, if there's an elitist pedophile ring, they would have appreciated Trump for his tax break. You see, only the broke ass pedophiles, wouldn't like that. Only the broke ones would be upset that he's holding back on FEMA money. You know what I'm saying? So don't make this about you. You know what I'm saying? Let me see this. Let me read some of the comments. I'm just joking, y'all. I'm sorry. Because you can see it's some trolls in the comments. So I got to troll back a little bit and have a little fun. Now, James said, no Nazis. I hear you, James. Look at this. Pat says, who cares? We got bigger fish to fry. Who? Who are the bigger fish? Who are the bigger fish? I don't know what that means, bro. You got to be more specific. I mean, if this happened to one of your children, would you say that? Okay. And I'm not saying that these people in the DOJ give a damn about your children either, but just because someone knew or was around the guy doesn't mean they did anything. True. And it also doesn't mean they didn't. Right. So how do you go about finding that out? Do you mountain man? Do you say, it doesn't mean he did, so I don't want to know? Is that how you go about it? Or do you investigate to find out who was? I mean, why assume anything? I'm not assuming anything. Yeah, Ron, you feel me? Okay, let me see here. AE, he campaigned on Epstein's jet. I mean, the dude bought Epstein's jet and rode around and campaigned on it. You know what I'm saying? That's why he has to say it's a hoax now, because if it's not a hoax, you look like a damn pedophile and sex trafficker, dude. You look like, if Donald Trump, what he looks like to me is he looks like one of the main clients of Epstein. And he probably got extorted. Probably, yeah, he's probably extorted because of it, and for you folks out there that's planning on getting some money, particularly you men, you planning on getting some money in your pocket, you need to learn from these lessons. Don't go out there, with your dick, letting your dick make all your decisions, especially if you have an important job to do. Don't do that. You could be caught out there. You can get extorted. You know, even if you're a person that wants to be the damn president, like keep your dick in your pants, man. Like damn, and little girls, man, you should be. I agree with the death penalty for that myself, but the problem is that you don't want it to be no mistakes when you have this death penalty thing. Now, yeah, Apex, truly despicable, truly despicable. Okay, Ron says, did we forget about Hunter, the man acting? I didn't forget about Hunter, but do you really think the DOJ gives a damn about Hunter? I mean, right now they got their hands full with their own president. They got to clear his name first. I mean, damn, it's like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? The Trump looks bad. Trump looks bad. He looked way better. I wish we were talking about Hunter Biden, but goddamn, don't you understand how extortion works and honeypots work? You know, they could have control over your home country just getting in Trump's pants. You know what I'm saying? You know, let's see here. Emily Morrison. They said they asked questions about over 100 people in the private meeting, but there are going to be accusations that will never be backed up. It's possible. You're right, Emily. It's right. It looks like that to me also. I mean, is it going to be corroborated by some evidence? Is it going to be corroborated by the Epstein files? We'll never know if they never released the Epstein files. And it looks like if I was a guilty Trump, if I was a guilty Trump and I was working for him and I was conspiring for him, I wouldn't be releasing the Epstein files, period. If I was guilty. Happened before and will happen again. Facts, Tumble Times. Yo, I don't know how old you are, Tumble Times, but I'm 55. And I grew up in a house of people that read the newspaper and stay up with the times. You know what I'm saying? So I know a little bit more than the average 55-year-old person, seen a little bit more. But I agree with that statement. It's happened before. History repeating itself. Nick says, Nick Payne, oh, I see. Because you said so, it makes it true. It has nothing to do with you not being able to do the most simple research. No, another black education. I mean, if you want to racialize that, if you want to racialize education, nah, bro. I mean, I don't know why you would assume that about me, but hey, bro, I'm not desperate to prove anything to you. You know, I'm living my life with my universal health care, so I'm all good, bro. You know, I don't know if healthcare is just for, you know, what, white people or what, black people. I don't think it is for any color in the United States. There's plenty of white folks that don't have healthcare. Plenty of white folks living in trailer parks. Plenty of white folks complaining about how unfair the system is. So I wouldn't racialize this if I was you, bro. Pat Yeager, you are assuming. Pat, no, I'm not. I'm not assuming. I'm exploring both sides of the argument and having a laugh. And also doing some edutainment. Let's see here. Apex, it's not. Stop exaggerating. Oh, you mean tell the news to stop exaggerating, Apex? I mean, because this is the news. You know what I'm saying? This is the news. This is what they talk about on your news. This is what your president is talking about. This is what the DOJ is out there talking about. This is what MAGA has been talking about. The problem with MAGA is they only wanted to hunt the pedophiles. They didn't want health care. They didn't want a fair wage. They only wanted to hunt the pedophiles. And when it turns out that their boss knows one of the pedophiles, then they're like, never mind. Never mind. Trump is a living legend, says, yeah, he definitely is a living legend for all the wrong reasons, man. He got your tax dollars, boy. He's going to take your tax dollars and you can't do nothing about it. When this is over, Trump's kids are going to be out there living their best life, man. Cindy says he's evil. Oh, he's absolutely. I agree with that. I agree. But I want to hear some arguments that clear his name, if there's any reasonable ones. But it don't seem like the trolls are coming with that. We have a lot more work to do. Re-earn. Let me see here. Where was that at? We have a lot more work to do before we re-earn respect. Facts, Emily. Yeah. And for those of y'all that are really American citizens, you know, there is an election, a midterm election coming up. And I suspect that in order to fix these kind of problems with this much corruption, it's going to be the type of problem that getting 2/3 of the House is the only way it can be solved, because you're going to need to impeach some judges that gave the president this kind of power of absolute immunity, that basically gave him the power to be even more corrupted. Some of those judges, they got to go. And it's not just about the president who becomes president, or even who the congressional people are anymore, because you see now that the president can override all of them. That's dangerous. So those judges that came with that erroneous ruling, I think they need to be impeached, before this thing gets better, regardless of who the next president is. They have to be impeached. Some new, less politicized, less corrupt judges need to be appointed that just want to follow the normal precedents and that don't want to make new rulings and shit, Let me see here. Are you relying on CNN for your truth? No, I'm not. Watch me a little bit more. Subscribe to my channel. You will find out that I don't. No more than Fox. Yeah, Fox out there. Fox, exactly. Who now, I'm relying on Fox for my news. What about you, Marlon? Yeah, I'm relying on Fox. What the hell? Because thank you. Thank you, Lai. That's so funny. Sydney Prim, who do you rely on your news, Maryland? Yeah, for real. Who the hell do you rely? I don't rely on anybody myself. I want to know what they all talking about and then put the shit together, put the facts together. Karen Powell, who relies on Fox News for a shred of truth? You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, I definitely don't. TDS, bro, get off the Democrats' plantation, fam. Man, why don't you, first of all, you're in the United States of America. You're on a fucking plantation yourself. What do you get for your tax dollars? You know what I'm saying? Do you take home a decent living wage? What about the people in your community? Do they get health care? Do they get child care for their tax dollars? Do they take, how much of their money after they work 9-to-5 jobs and they pay their taxes and pay their expenses? How much money do they come home with after all of that? You talking about get off the Democrat plantation? Get off the goddamn plantation, period. You shouldn't want to be on anybody's plantation. But the United States of America is the country that's been this way for a minute, where you use more of your money paying for the basic needs and necessities. And after you pay for all of them, including your taxes, you take home less money than the average person in the other NATO nations. So, Wolf, get off the plantation, bro. You're very close to slavery, white, black, Asian, whatever your background is. If you're in the United States, you're very close to slavery. Trust me. I'm an American citizen living outside of the United States. I've seen how people do things in different parts of the world. So, yeah, you might want to think about that. And again, you still got your voting rights, so you better get out there and encourage people to use it, especially in this midterm. Let me see, Caroline B. I think it's pretty smart to interview before her subpoenas. I figure she got a target on her back now. I mean, I got mixed feelings myself. I think she got a target on her back and always has had a target on her back. But that's not necessarily a good thing, because if the target on her back is coming from Trump, and he's offering her a pardon, like if they offer you a carrot or a stick, a pardon or death, a pardon or accidental suicide hanging, which one would you choose? So I think that's the problem here. People don't really know what's going on. It's not really clear, but there's no middle ground. It's pretty much a stick and a carrot, but I wouldn't trust her. And I don't think you need her. And at the end of the day, she didn't even testify in her own trial to defend herself. She didn't even take the stand. That's how much she didn't believe in her own truth then. And now that she has the possibility to get out, suddenly she believes in her truth. Okay. All right. There you go. Let's see here. All right. Let me drop some more news, and then let this play a little bit more.
Just learning this hour that Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was granted limited immunity in order to talk with Trump's personal attorney turned Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Now, what did this mean, this limited immunity? Well, it allowed Maxwell to provide information without any fear that anything she said that is truthful can be used against her in the future. Maxwell is, of course, serving a 20-year sentence in connections with Epstein's sex crimes. It is a conviction she's actually in the process of appealing. And after the second day of these unusual meetings between Maxwell and the Trump Department of Justice, Maxwell's attorney just said this about a potential pardon from Trump.
We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
Yeah, so I've been saying that Trump is going to pardon her. I've been saying that, and it's just based on my own analysis of like his mental state, how he does things in general, what he shows a caring for, what he shows a lack of caring for. And a lot of the commentators, especially those with legal background, which are generally reliable, right? I actually said that this time around they're wrong. This is unprecedented, that they're relying on the system to correct things, and that has already been undermined by the Supreme Court, and so what normally happens in a structure is not what's going to happen this time. Trump knows that, because the system, that corrupt system, those erroneous rulings by the Supreme Court justices, he benefited from personally, and he knows why he got it. He got it because big money is behind him. That's how he got it, and he knows that. And I think a lot of times the people that work within the justice system, within the Justice Department, they really do believe in the system, which I think is admirable. When it's just, it is admirable. But I think they're having a hard time dealing with the American people right now, because right now it has been undermined. So what is normally supposed to happen is not going to happen. Trump knows that, which is why, some of these commentators were saying Trump would never do that. He wouldn't do a pardon. Why wouldn't he do a pardon? And they were saying that it's because the American people would be outraged. But Trump doesn't give a fuck about the American people. Trump cares about the ends. He doesn't care about the middle. How he gets there, he doesn't care about. How many people he hurts, he doesn't care about. And I really would like to see the commentators on Fox, on CNN, and legacy media get to that point where they're being that honest with the American people. Like, this dude got away with it. Just understand that. He got away with something that classists get away with all the time. Okay? This is not a fair United States. This is one where the middle class and the poor don't get a fair shake. That's what you're watching. You're living in the US where the rich get all the respect. They get all the benefit of the law. And in my mind, that's what I think people are living out. I don't think this is a white or black thing. I think this is a rich and poor thing. I think this is I don't ever have to work a day in my life and I'm going to inherit billions of dollars thing, versus I have to work every day of my life and still not get a fair shake middle class thing. And I think that, the bots have entered the chat for sure. They there. And I think that Americans need to, go to legacy media and ask them why they're not covering the story about classism, like in this justice system, just classism, because I think that unifies more people, right? And less people. Now, There's a lot of bots in the chat. Yeah, look at this. Why are you still whining? They love to say that. Dems are still whining. Dems are crying. You see that? But that's okay. Let the bots be, because, or the trolls or whoever they are, because they boost up the algorithm, right? But but in any case, it seems to me that legacy media, they benefited from Trump's trillion-dollar tax break. So that might explain it, why they're not talking about the aspects of classism here. They don't benefit from talking about classism. And, I think that's the problem, and how we see the reporting being done. Now, I'm an American citizen, born and raised in the United States of America. My parents both sides of my family go back to the beginning of the country. But I live outside of the U.S. So I have some practical knowledge and experience to share, right? So I've lived in both the Americas and Europe for over 20 years, both. You see what I mean? So I have some insight to share that's unique to my personal experience, not unique to yours, right? You might have a different perspective, right? But I have some other perspective on it, given the fact that most Americans don't get a chance to live outside of the U.S. and they have to rely on legacy media pretty much to tell them that story about communism, socialism, the bad NATO socialist. That a lot of Americans hear that day after day after day. And what I'm telling you is that that's how the classist and legacy media link up. They basically don't want you getting a fair share, no matter if you're white, no matter if you're black, no matter who you are. They don't want the everyday person getting a fair share. No matter if you're Democrat, no matter if you're Republican, they don't care about you getting a fair share. What bothers them most is when you do a decent day's work and want a decent day's pay. That's what bothers them most, because if you do a decent day's work and you want a decent day's pay, they obviously have to take home less money. They can still be billionaires, but they can't be, multi-billionaires. You see what I'm saying? That will get, that will start to bother them. So how they handle all of this stuff, I think is reflected in that. Now, let me read some more of these comments. Emily Morrison says, Gear Jammer. Jeff Daniels in the newsroom asked the exact same question. It took a few episodes to explore the answer of, if liberals are so damn and smart, why do they lose? And so, but are liberals losing? Look at the red states. Are liberals losing? I don't even understand why anyone in a red state would say they're winning when their homes get flooded and the person you pay tax dollars to says they ain't going to help you. I don't call that winning. That's a red state. A liberal state would be California, which makes more money, generates more profit than most countries around the world, by the way. Just California alone. That's winning in one way, but they pay a lot of federal taxes. A lot of those tax dollars go to other states to help other states, even red states. But when you have a president that doesn't want to help even a booming state with these kind of things, when there's fires ravaging, which are natural disasters, it's not something they're doing bad. That's not winning either. So to me, it seems like Americans are not winning. Like, I don't really get why. I do see why a troll would say that, but I'm just cautioning rational people, real people, to that kind of split doesn't make sense. It's not rational anymore. Americans need to just start seeing themselves as Americans and workers and deal with that problem. What should your rights be as a worker? What should you expect as an American taxpayer? What are your rights? Are you going to die, poor and broke after just because you got sick and your insurance company won't cover your mom or your dad's or your child's operation after you paid insurance for years? I mean, that is what's going on in the U.S. That's not what's going on in other Western nations, right? That's not what's going on in Canada. That's not what's going on in Denmark. That's not what's going on in Germany. You see what I'm saying? So I think those are the bigger realities that Americans need to utilize to deal with these kind of problems. Like Trump, he is not really for MAGA per se. He's for a classist, for rich people. Yeah. And he's not really about color, but he uses color and ethnicity as a political tool to get what he wants, to get his base to support him at certain times. But then he will hire an immigrant who's of another ethnicity overnight if he has enough money. You see what I'm saying? So if you're in on the scam, Trump is cool with you, no matter if you're an immigrant, no matter what your color is, no matter how long your family's been in the country. He's cool with that. He's only not cool with immigrants when they're poor, basically. And he's only not cool with Americans when they're hard workers and want a better a fair chance, a fair shot at taking home a decent wage. That's when he has a problem with people, if you really analyze it, right? If you take a step back, he definitely don't give a damn about women, though. I mean, Trump doesn't give a damn about women. That we can clearly see. He hates women. And so I think when it comes to discrimination, there's a lot of people that should take that issue up, because he made it a point to use gender, race, and all of this stuff to stoke his base and give them a few, they gave those kind of people Hexet, to go through the system and get rid of the DEIs and all of that stuff. Yeah, he's just using it as political, a political tool to get to the money. He doesn't really care about DEI or ending DEI, because of course these are executive orders that won't stand up once he's gone. These are not congressional orders. You see, this DEI stuff is not Congress. It's just executive orders that the Supreme Court didn't shut down. But, that has a chance of being rectified. But in general, with women, look at this case. This case is all about women. This case is all about women and rich men. And when it comes to rich men in the United States of America, women and little girls don't matter. They just don't matter. Flat out, they just don't matter. And it's sad to see that. Young women learn from that. Like, just understand that this is how they show you that they don't care. And that harkens back to the type of dynamic with discrimination we're dealing with. I mean, in the U.S., women couldn't vote. Only white males could vote, pretty much. Landowners, white men that were landowners could vote. Then it got expanded to, okay, you don't have to be a landowner to vote, but women still couldn't vote then. You see what I mean? So, they're kind of going back to that time where they're saying these kind of elements don't apply. But when it comes to women, they have the same guy, the same Congress. They've gotten rid of your right to control your body. So if a pedophile rapes you, you have to have his baby. That's what they've turned the United States into. If a pedophile rapes your daughter, she must have the baby. So I think regarding women, it is very, very pointed. Like this kind of right wing, the hatred towards women exceeds the hatred towards most other people, I believe. And I think women really, really should be afraid, and really take stock in that. Like, take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves because, as you can see, there's a lot of people in the country that basically don't give a damn, and what is a society without women doing, having a fair, decent, stable life? I mean, they're the ones that are at the center of the families a lot of the times, and if they don't have a right to, basic things while they pay taxes, I mean, it reflects on your society. It reflects on the society. So, yeah, but yeah, these trolls are funny, man. They got all the wrong questions, all the distractions here. Yeah, y'all. But in any case, the reasonable people don't worry about the trolls in the chat, because a lot of them are probably paid by right wing associations, to just come onto platforms that they perceive as left leaning, right? They have a lot of money to do that. Elon Musk and these people, they're the kings of employing the internet of voices. You see what I mean? So don't worry so much about it. They really try their best to divide people, so they can basically walk away with the bag. And I call it an attack on the U.S. Pretty much. It's a one way of attacking the U.S. to divide people. The more you divide the middle class, the middle class is comprised of MAGA people and left people, right and left. The middle class is comprised of both. The poor is comprised of both. But how they make sure these people stay poor is by dividing them. So let me see. Let me see what else we got here. Yeah, this is a sad day. This is a sad day. But there was something that came out. I thought this was pretty funny. Now, in retrospect, where do you think Caroline fits in the picture?
For being with us today. Sure. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. There's been a lot of discussion about the Epstein files and the president's comments yesterday calling it a hoax. Can you clarify which part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part?
The president is referring to the fact that Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency in regards to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes. It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions, and they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they found in that memo, which they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through.
So they said there was they drafted a report. She's right. They drafted a report. And the report said there's nothing else there. There's no one else there to prosecute. There's nothing there in the files. That's what they said. And she even said it's asinine to suggest any different. And lo and behold, just from one day to the next, only one day to the next, it's not many days,
to quell this political firestorm. So that's an option. It's clearly something that a lot of folks have talked about. We have no reporting that has been.
We are just learning this hour Epstein's ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was granted limited immunity in order to talk with Trump's personal attorney turned Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Now, what did this mean, this limited immunity? Well, it allowed Maxwell to provide information without any fear that anything she said that is truthful can be used against her in the future. Maxwell is, of course, serving a 20-year sentence in connections with Epstein's sex crimes. It is a conviction.
Yo, hold on. I'm sorry. Pro-life. Yo, Sixth Sense said pro-life. Make vasectomy compulsory then. Yeah. So you could hear that Carol.
when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency in regards to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes. It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions. And they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they found in that memo, which they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats and the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about. The president has been working so hard this week. On Tuesday, he went to Pennsylvania, where he secured $90 billion in investments for the Commonwealth, for the people of that state. After that, he came back to the Oval Office at 8 p.m. He went in there to whip votes to get the Genius Act signed into law. And because of his efforts, that bill is now going to be signed and passed. The following day, yesterday, he meets with a foreign leader, the King of Bahrain, to secure more investments into this country. And then yesterday afternoon, the president is in the East Room of the White House mourning with parents who have lost their children because of fentanyl, signing a bipartisan piece of legislation. And not a single cable network in this country took that event live and covered that event like they should. Those are the issues the president cares about. What could be more important to the American people than helping families who have lost their children? Those are the issues this president is going to remain focused on.
I understand he wants to move on from this story, but you do have some prominent figures, including the Senate Majority Leader, the House Speaker, voicing support for the files to come out. Representative Massey collecting signatures that would force a discharge petition for a vote on the floor for this. It doesn't seem to be going away. What is stopping the administration from just redacting any sensitive information, grand jury information, and putting out what is appropriate so that the American people can decide and then let this story die?
Well, in terms of redactions or grand jury seals, those are questions for the Department of Justice. Those are also questions for the judges who have that information under a seal. And that would have to be requested, and a judge would have to approve it. That's out of the president's control. He has said, in agreement with some of the leaders on Capitol Hill, that if the Attorney General and the Department of Justice...
So, you tell me, is this matching up? Does this match up with what the storylines and the headlines are today? I mean, I almost see no symmetry whatsoever. I don't see any.
We are just learning this hour that Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was granted limited immunity in order to talk with Trump's personal attorney turned Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Now, what did this mean, this limited immunity? Well, it allowed Maxwell to provide information without any fear that anything she said that is truthful can be used against her in the future. Maxwell is, of course, serving a 20-year sentence in connections with Epstein's sex crimes. It is a conviction she's actually in the process of appealing. And after the second day of these unusual...
I mean, in my mind, I would have to interpret this as the DOJ and Kash Patel, the FBI, all of the Epstein files, they went through all of them and they found no evidence to indict anyone else. Nothing criminal there. They could be prosecuted. And then after they did that, Then they go and talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, and she has loads of more information, right? About 100 more people involved. We don't know if that involvement is criminal involvement either. We don't know, right? But you would think, because normally the DOJ would only talk to make deals with someone that could help them prosecute more people, right? So it seems like what they're saying is that the information she has, none of it is inside of the Epstein files, apparently, right? Because both can't be true. You can't, on one hand, have a DOJ and an FBI that combed through all the Epstein files and found nothing to prosecute. But then Elaine, the person that they've already sent to prison, has stories of more stories to offer, hundreds of people. I mean, obviously, this is about criminality or no criminality. And you don't go where there's no criminality to have a story. You only go where you suspect criminality. So what she's talking about has to be people involved in criminality. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be talking about a pardon. The DOJ even wouldn't be talking about anything, reducing her sentence, anything. They wouldn't even have the time of day for her. So right off the bat, there's no symmetry. I see no symmetry from day to day between these two statements here.
For being with us today. Sure. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. There's been a lot of discussion about the Epstein files and the president's comments yesterday calling it a hoax. Can you clarify which part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part?
The president is referring to the fact that Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency.
So if you want the Epstein files released, how many of you want the Epstein files released? I see it's 51 people watching, right? Yeah, sorry about the delays in the internet, but let me know your views. Do you want the Epstein files released or no? Just say yes, release the files, or no, right? And I'm going to follow and see what that looks like in the chat. And then I'm going to close out. But because this story is not going away. This story is not going away. There's more things in here. Now, when I come back, I'm going to do some reporting on the connection, like between the defense attorney for Ghislaine Maxwell and the lawyer that the DOJ sent down there to interview her. I mean, apparently they're saying that they're friends. There's reports saying that. Then the other thing is that there's been some reporting on Fox News where one ex-representative or past representative, Republican representative, said that Judge Roberts, was on one of the Epstein planes. I just want to research that before I come back to you all. Now, let me read the comments here. Ant Banks, you think the Epstein files should be released? Let me know. Do you think, after you've heard all of this, now it's days gone by, do you think the Epstein files should be released, or do you think no? So just say yes or no in the chat, or hell yeah or hell no. You know, yeah. Thanks, Ant. I think they definitely need to be released. I mean, number one, but when you listen to 2 days ago, the White House press secretary, and then you listen and you see what the DOJ is doing, they seem to be on two different paths. Like, what she's saying doesn't match up to their actions. I mean, something's not right here, is what I'm saying. Like, something is deeply not right. But we're living in days where things can not make sense at all and get okayed by the Supreme Court. Like, flat out. Those are the days we're in. Just like a president is not supposed to leave the White House with thousands of pages of top secret information, hundreds, you're not supposed to do that. That's a crime, right? But in this case, the man was elected again, and the Supreme Court said, we'll just wait. 34. And normally a person that has 34 felonies wouldn't be allowed to run for the presidency. But as you can see, we're now living in normal times. So do you want the Epstein files released? Let me know in the chat. Not just the real people, but also the trolls. Let me know. Do you want the Epstein files released or no? Let me know. Oh my goodness. Netanyahu's on the list, maybe, but go Samurai. Do you want the Epstein files released or not? Sekhmet, you want the Epstein files released or not? Yes or no? Thanks for joining me. World leaders are in the files. 6 cents. So do you want the Epstein files released or not? Let me know what you think. And folks, subscribe because the notifications don't always go out the same. It depends on the systems I'm using and YouTube, how it works with YouTube's algorithms. And I switch systems daily. Sometimes I'm at the desktop, sometimes I'm on the mobile, sometimes I'm on the laptop, and sometimes I'm on the iPad. So, you know, of course, do it for the kids, not to the kids. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Sekhmet. Yeah. Release the files. Okay. 6 cents. Release the files. Yeah. Okay. We got 74 people. Come on, y'all. Do you want the Epstein files released or not? You know, in light of where things are now, after the meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, where she says she got 100 new stories to tell, 100 new people to talk about. Do you think the Epstein files need to be, I appreciate that, 6 cents. Do you think the Epstein files still need to be released, or are you cool with that? You cool with that now? You don't want to see the Epstein files anymore? Let me know. Do you want to see those files, or are you just fine with it as it is? Let's see here. Donald Williams says he has some advice. You should really learn the fundamental law and read your state constitution. It will change your perspective. Well, I'm from DC, man. And we do have a constitution, but some people would argue it's not a state. But I would also argue read your constitution, your federal one, because that's what makes you a country. And no matter if you're a state, the federal government, Donald Trump, is not a state executive. He's a federal executive. And so what he says goes in your state too. You see what I'm saying? So these executive orders, yeah. You see the federal government, you see ICE. They're not state representatives, they're federal representatives, and they're in your state. So your state is not separate from the country. You are not stopping federal control or federal interference in your state constitution. Your constitution can say anything it wants on the state level, you know, but it must not infringe with the country's actual constitution. You know, that's how it works. State constitutions came before the Fed. That doesn't matter. Who cares? The country has been reformed several times. Are you crazy? Like, come on, man. Go back to, I don't know what you're trying to say with that comment, but dude, ICE doesn't work for your state. I don't know if you knew that. Okay. So if it was only about what the state constitution says, then they wouldn't be there. You see what I'm, not in that way. The Marines wouldn't be there in California. You see what I'm saying? Like, come on. The feds must comply. Well, it doesn't seem like they're doing that. Doesn't seem like they're doing it. I mean, hey, we also know a lot of other things are supposed to be. Doesn't seem like it's happening. A lot of those things aren't supposed, you're also supposed to be able to go to work and get a fair day's wage. So theoretically, yeah. Theoretically, you're supposed to, until someone makes up, an excuse why that's not like that for all jobs. All jobs, you shouldn't earn a fair wage. No, whoever said that? No, you shouldn't earn a living wage. Come on. You pay federal taxes. What do you pay federal taxes for? If it's just about your state, you see? So, they both exist, and you got to deal with them both in the United States of America, even inside of your own state. So, you could argue that the law says they must comply. Do they? Americans are constantly up in arms daily talking about federal overreach. Republicans have cried about federal overreach for the last 20 years. Now they're okay with it because there's a Republican president. So you do the math on that one. But in any case, Donald Williams, do you want the Epstein files to be released or not? Let me know that. What do you think? Regardless of what your position is on state rights and federal rights, we want to know, where do you fit in with the Epstein files? Do you want them released, or do you think it doesn't matter anymore? Let's give Donald a chance to answer. Okay, you absolutely. Okay, there you go. Let's keep it, contextualized today, because we can have another conversation about that. I mean, we should have a conversation. I think no matter what this argument is about the state or the federal government, if they don't both stand on the side that a person should go to work and get a decent wage, a fair wage that can pay for their housing, pay for the necessities, electricity, pay for their health care, pay for their child care. If the federal government and the state government is not on the people's side with those things, then I don't give a fuck about either one of them. Period. Because they both demand taxes from the people. So that's where I'm at with it, overall. You know what I'm saying? Like, people can discuss it. It's just like the conversation here when we talk about what the legal experts say about what can happen and what's going to happen with Trump. The legal experts were all wrong. Most of them were wrong. We're in unprecedented times. So I think the average American, I would be thinking this because I'm an average American, even though I don't live in the U.S., but I'm still an average person outside of the U.S. You know what I mean? I have a pretty good life, but average should mean that. Average should mean having a pretty good life. Average shouldn't be I'm struggling. But in the U.S., average means you're struggling, And I think if you're a person that comes from the average, whether you're struggling or you have a good life, you should want state and federal government to use those taxes to improve your quality of life. And the average worker. That's what I'm talking about. And it shouldn't matter how much you make, and even the poor should have access to higher education. That's what I believe. You see what I mean? So they can improve themselves. They're the ones who need to improve the most, the poor, right? So that's how I look at things, Anyway, the people are sovereign over government. We haven't been taught the law. Fuck the law. Also common sense. What about common sense, man? Listen, Donald, the law is not going to teach you common sense. The law is great. It is the law, but I go further than you. I say the people have these inalienable rights, even without the damn law. Common sense should apply. Decency should apply. The moment decency doesn't apply in constitutional rights on the federal or the constitutional level, fuck both of them. Because come on, man, nobody's no one's invincible. People need unions to work, and just because you're a part of a union doesn't mean it's working. And that's what the Constitution is on the state level or the federal level. If it's not being practiced fairly, then fuck it. Life is too short, man, But, we do know that they're making all these excuses using the Constitution. They say it all the time, and I even wrote this. I even said this in one of my tracks. The track, they want war. I'm saying they using the Constitution. They're discussing what's constitutional, what's not constitutional, and people are fucking starving. I mean, at some point you got to say, whatever it is they're talking about, whatever it is they're theorizing about, whatever it is they're saying is law, they're doing it from a comfortable position while loads of people have it bad. That can't be right either. See, there's also something wrong there. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how I look at it, you know. But I'm not saying violate the law, and I'm saying the law should not work for people. It should be working for people. But when it's not clearly working for people, you can't just lean on the law. The state law and the federal law got you what looks like a pedophile president. Just remember that. So somewhere in that law, something went wrong. You know, the Supreme Court justices sure do find a way to make, you know, some very odd things happen that shouldn't be happening. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying, you know. Trump dropped the ball with the Epstein list. Yeah, he dropped that damn ball, man. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate you. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. And I'm going to try to make sure I don't come on impromptu, because a lot of times I have to work with the time that I have, and I'm also a busy person. So I try to, when I get a moment, when I get a few hours and I say, you know what, I can get on the stream and go live. That's pretty much what I do. So I don't plan the lives too far in advance. But listen to me. No matter if you're Republican, no matter if you're Democrat, no matter if you're independent, no matter who you voted for, I still want to have a decent conversation with you, because you deserve better. You see what I mean? And I know this because I'm an American citizen, born and raised in the United States of America, that has also lived outside of the United States of America. So I have practical, not just theoretical knowledge, but practical knowledge about inside of the U.S. and outside of the U.S. And so I'm only on here to connect with other Americans. Now, if you don't appreciate that, or you don't have a desire for that, that's okay. But I'm here for the ones that understand that point. You see what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all for coming out. Please survive. I'll be back online, and probably it's going to be like 4 hours from now, right? And I don't know what time that is in the U.S. I'm in the EU right now, in Denmark. So yeah, so there's a little bit of time difference there also. But I wish everybody a good into their Sunday, and or a good start to their weekend. I'm sorry, what is it, Sunday today? Yeah, a good start to their Sunday, and stay strong in these times, because they are some tough ones. You know, there's some tough ones.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, JD Vance is about to be the next president, y'all. He's about to be and it's coming before the midterm elections. Watch.
Crying babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day, and every clue, don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair.
Yo, sorry about that. Check this out. Last thing I wanted to say was that JD Vance is about to be the next president. Trump looks strong right now, but he's out of there. And he is going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Either that or the DOJ is going to totally bumble this case. So he's on his way out. They're not going to come on TV and say that. Caroline is going to continue to come back out and talk strong and talk down and call people asinine for having different ideas about how things are going. And you're going to see Trump do something like get sick so JD Vance can replace him. Trump is done. If he is not out of office long before these midterm elections, the Republicans are going to lose big in those elections. And you cannot change the country without, from this much harm, without 2/3 of the Congress. You can't do it without 2/3. You can't get rid of corruption in the United States of America without 2/3 of the Congress. So these next midterm elections should really be called the people's election. You know, no matter who you vote for, make sure you want people that believe American citizens should have a better life for a decent day's work. Because you, in compared to other Western nations, are not. You're just simply not. That's not going to be a story on legacy media from Fox or CNN, because they get tax breaks too from the elite. So just remember that when you go out and vote. You know, vote for some people that want you to have a decent life, have elder care, be able to afford medical care, be able to afford an education, be able to afford a decent home, a decent roof over your head, be able to afford decent food, be able to afford electricity and clean water. Vote for people that believe the richest country on earth can deliver that to its working class at the bare minimum. Because Americans right now, after they pay their taxes and they pay all their expenses, take home less money than the other people in these other Western NATO nations a month. Straight up. I'd already covered that story. I brought the data forward. I'm going to continue to cover that story. But please look out for yourselves, y'all, because if you don't, nobody else will. All right,
don't
peace.
listen to the TV, go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a debt old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the more, then you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the more, and then you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack, and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you might hear, but they won't, cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't fear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the more, and then you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the more, and then you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.